Hey, how you doing? Hey, this is Admin from PlexGuide. I'm making a version 5 of this install video, and as I even mentioned in the version 4, things keep changing so much that got to keep you up to date. The form design's even uh, 2 back from the prior video. So in this one, we're just going to show you like how a quick install works, what it looks like, where some basic features are, how you can reach our team, and all of that. The more that you educate yourself, the better off you'll be. And the whole purpose of this project is not only just to have a project, but it's really to teach you anything. Because actually, a lot of our members that have submitted fixes are new members like yourself and myself. I've only been coding for about a period of 8 months, but I'm a fast learner. So, anyways, let's go ahead and kick this off. So right now, like what I did in the last video was I showed the use of Hertzner. This is a demo box, so don't. It doesn't matter if your access is accurate or not. It won't be here by the time you try. But basically, this is a cloud server, and this only cost me €2.49 a month. Basically, like €1 penny an hour, not to exceed that $2.49. So basically, before you buy a big expensive server, it's best to test this in a virtual machine like VMware Fusion for Mac, or to actually get a Hertzner Cloud. And it sounds like it's a pay thing. It's not. I purely use this because this is how I test my stuff all the time, and it gives me a sanity check. One thing I didn't understand about the cloud servers that when I first saw this was that these things deploy within like 15 seconds. So it's not your traditional, you got to wait 45 minutes, you got to recover the key, a whole bunch of stuff. It literally just boots up in like 15 seconds. And every time you shut it down, it will basically boot back up in like about maybe 10 seconds when you start it back up. So I would recommend this. The thing is, I just picked the cheapest thing because again, this is for testing purposes, and this thing does scale. So you see the rescale right here. You can pick other options. So you can see that you can leave this alone. The disk size is 20 right now, but if you technically start off, you can go ahead and undo this, and you can see that the costs start to get a little bit up there depending on what you want to do. If for some reason you pick this package or this package, it makes pretty decent Plex server or feeder. The 20 terabytes, I don't know if that's in and out. Usually Hertzner is about outbound traffic, so that's something you might have to check. So anyways, let's just go ahead and get this started. So we're going to go ahead and get the code real quick. So we're just going to go to install PG and get this going. So right now you can see that I had the version 4 video advertised. So I'm going to go ahead and take this right here, and usually just double click it. And then what you do is you bring up your terminal window. If you have Windows, you're going to go ahead and bring up PuTTY. Make sure that you get inside your box and that you have appropriate permissions. Normally you would either be a root user or sudo user. One of the two doesn't matter. But as a regular user with no permissions, you really can't do anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit paste and enter this, because right now a lot of things are just going to go ahead and update in the background. Now this does work with Ubuntu 18. We updated it a while ago for Ubuntu 18, so we're the first to do it. Maybe starting about 3-4 weeks ago when we got some feedback. Ubuntu 16 works perfectly fine. The only thing with 18 is that this project relies on a lot of services. So any of those services could be borked or have issues. So if you're on 16 right now, just go ahead and stick with it. So you can see that the update was pretty quick on this. So it tells you what version you're running. So it tells you if you're 16 or 14. So the way our update system works right here, it's pretty unique. If you decide to download the developer edition, be aware that you may be downloading something that we're currently testing in real time. Beta, you'll see those if if we're fairly confident about what we're releasing, but there's always a small chance of issues. And stable, we usually release this with feedback and some of the things that were put into the previous betas. So for demo purposes right now, we're just going to go ahead and do beta 5. And it's going to ask you, do you want to install it? Just going to go ahead and say yes. And there you go. So it's telling you to go ahead and just type PlexGuide again. So now, when you kick this off, it's going to go ahead and go through an installer process. Right here, it's going to ask if you care about your notifications. And if you don't, you can just go ahead and hit exit. And then right here, it's going to ask you, do you agree? Say yes, because if you don't, nothing happens. This is letting you know that your ports are open by default. And later on in the security settings, you can actually shut all your ports and access your stuff via a subdomain. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and conduct a system update. 99% of times when you're installing this, if you use this line of code, it's going to go by pretty fast because it's already up to date. There's rare cases where sometimes we do an update and it'll force you to install go through the pre-installer again. And the reason is because there's a change that's kind of like mandatory for everybody. So if you're on an older version, you decide to not upgrade, but then you still decide to go through the menus, it will let you, but you may find yourself having various issues, so you don't really want to experience that. Next thing right here, while this is installing, so this is installing Ansible right now, so we're just going to go ahead and put this here. So this right here is our GitHub page, and let's just keep this up for a second. Nope. So this is our GitHub page, and if you go down this, it just gives you our mission statement. So basically, this whole thing is just deployed to make your life easy. It can be a headache at times because, you know, anything that's written with code can always fail, but we do our best. I decided that the project was worth it because if a server went down or something like that, it would usually take me like 7 days to rebuild the thing. The way we started PlexGuide.com was originally founded back in December of 2016, and it started from a Google document that I started compiling. The reason was because I just found stuff all over the web, but it really wasn't really much of a coder. I just pretty much like put snippets of code, things you can find, and so basically the domain was purchased I think in the February timeframe of last year. So here's a little bit of a quick history. Started utilizing Reddit and started getting nailed. Part of the reason we built this project was in spite of traditional programmers, because a lot of people don't really share knowledge or to make everything complicated. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make something newbies can understand. So that's why we have a user interface, videos. We have a documentation that speaks to you, not at such a high-level language, and we try to do our best to prevent that. We also have Discord. So a lot of people started following us because we were using Slack for such a large project like this, and we had others following our way. So, hey, it just shows you how far we went. And then we established a YouTube channel to assist other people. So right now you can see that Ubuntu is installing the version for Ubuntu 18 Docker. So if you have 16 or 18, it adjusts accordingly, so you don't have to worry about that. Just let you know. Basically, this update system right here was built in February 2018. Basically, you could just download the code before, it would just download to the newest dev, but now we have snapshots and releases, and you'll be surprised how long this took to do. Flicker rate, design gears, DTQ, still can't say your name right, and many others right here really advanced this project. Without them, I think I would have buried this project a long time ago, because sometimes you just get frustrated, definitely through all the terminology and all the things you come across, but as you continue to play with it, it gets a little bit easier. So big achievements was, getting the reverse SSL going, and then we have the multi-HD edition, the multi-image select, so you can select different images. We have different editions. Basically, you can install this on a VPS and just run that. You don't need Google Drive. You also don't need multiple hard drives. You can do what you want. Or you can have multiple hard drives and it will create a pool for you. So when it starts up, it's going to ask you for what edition do you want. And you can see here Flickr made an awesome chart, but it's going to be a little updated because we did add different editions. But it kind of gives you an idea like how busy this thing can really get. But fortunately for Docker, in the way we store our data, it's going to make your life a little bit easier. So, obviously right now you're looking like this guy right here. You're like, yeah, check out this site, right? No, you're only getting a taste of it. So Watchtower right here will ask you if you want to update all your containers. Normally I pick never update containers. The reason for it is because sometimes when your containers automatically update, they can be borked. We've had people who have Radar running and they couldn't access it for 2 days or their things got corrupt. In order to update your container on your own, all you have to do is come back to PlexGuide and just rerun it. But it's really up to you, if you want this. Also, I set up update all containers set Plex and MB. There's rare cases where Plex can just bork on you, and you really don't want that to happen. So you might be comfortable sitting at where you're at and then updating at any time. For Plex, we did set up where you can install different tags like a beta or a previous version. So that will make your life a little easier because that's something that most of us needed. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick never update containers. Again, this is up to you if you want to or not. But if you do have the containers automatically updated, it makes your life easy. Having containers automatically updated might help you with Radar. There might be certain shows or movies that might update or have complications where they added a fix and you're good to go. So pretty much you've seen the form here. If you can assist us while you're here, click the star right here because this what this does. It helps us elevate us on GitHub, and it really does make a difference. Out of most of the things that you can do, you have no idea. I've even had coders that were coding with us and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. You can see we built quite a team right here. We got 30 contributors. So you can tell that people really do care about the project, and we're not critical of what people do or what they submit or what they're thinking. So, the creator, he he was very responsible for getting the traffic up because at the time I didn't care. I was just like, hey, it's just the IP port access the stupid app. She's involved in getting your encryption up. She's done a very good job, and she was my battle buddy from the beginning. So you can see right here in the early September timeframe, she was submitting code, and I was just like, oh my god, what's all this encrypted stuff? So, because I thought it was complicated, but she did a good job. Flicker Rate has been instrumental to the project. He's the one who's responsible for super transfer and many of the tweaks that you see. He was one of the few members that we've had coming around in the early March time frame. Barely knew anything. We showed him a little bit, and yeah, he took off from there. So he's helped us out instrumentally. So if you want to set up a domain, you can do it now, but you can do this later. So setting up your domain to PlexGuide is not overly difficult. So, but I'll just show you for demo purposes. It's not necessarily going to work right now, but it will show you how it will look if you decide to go through the process. So, if you went through this process here, if you were to type, I don't know, darknet.com, now it's not going to work, but it's going to keep track of it. So, it'll be like mail at darknet.com. And so, again, we make this pretty much easy for you. So you don't have to go in and keep editing everything. This is very important to note and what to pay attention to, because in Terminal, it's not easy to paste data. Mac users, it's easy because all you have to do is go to Edit and click the paste, go in your Terminal. You'll need to know about the shift insert, because if you don't, life becomes really difficult for you. So anytime this loads up, it tells you domains. It says no traffic, version of traffic is installed. So we have traffic 2 and legacy traffic. People talk to me about reverse proxies, and I know what a proxy was, but it took me a while to grasp this. Just understand that when you install this, it allows you to access your app via a subdomain. So if you have a domain like at darknet.com, you can access all your stuff going to plex.darknet.com, radar.darknet.com, sonar.darknet.com. I think you get the idea. It's easiest to install traffic version 2, and the reason for it is because it just does one handshake, and everything you deploy gets a HTTPS certificate. With version 1, you're limited to 30 certificates per week, and if you run it multiple times, you'll find yourself that your subdomains don't work. Now, if you run it a few times, you'll be okay, but if you can go with traffic 2, just go ahead. It just makes life easy. Make sure that you enable the wildcard on your domain, because if you forget this in the A record, because if you forget this, it's not going to work. You should see that in the wiki. So there's 2 easy ways to go about this. GoDaddy is just the far simplest way to do it. Just get a domain, you plug in an API key, and bam, it's working. Cloudflare, it's kind of like that, and it kind of gives you some, you got to wait sometimes a little bit for everything to work. But GoDaddy, if you're just nobody who, you're just somebody who doesn't know much of anything, and you got $9, $6, $5 to go spare GoDaddy and pay via PayPal, this is the easiest route to go. Cloudflare does protect you too, though, in a sense that it helps hide your IP address. So you can argue the convenience versus security concept. So it's really up to you. Now, understand that if you're running this on a VM or your house or something like this, you don't need to install traffic. This is only for IPv4 domains. So we're going to go ahead and kick off here. So what we set up here is multiple editions for you. So this was kind of new compared to the last install video. So each edition is really important in deciding what you want to do. And yes, you can switch between them. G Drive edition is typically the one that most people set up. You install your Google Drive and boom, you're good to go. And all your stuff starts working. If you do HD Solo, this is recommended for somebody who only has like a small collection, something like Disney or whatever, or home videos, whatever, it's just a small collection. So basically, PlexGuide installs on top of the hard drive, and the hard drive itself is the space. So this is a real easy one to use. If you're the type of person to kind of watch and burn shows, again, this is a great version to use. So then you don't have to worry about paying the $10 a month. And yes, this does work on remote and local servers. The HD multi-edition, so coming from Windows, I used, the reason this was really easy for me to grasp is because I used a thing called FlexRAID. And unlike other RAIDs, basically what it did was it allowed you to pool all your drives. Kind of like that Windows storage thing, but a little bit more reliable. What I dislike about FlexRAID is their licensing options. The author makes it really difficult to re-register FlexRAID. So if you're testing it in a VM, your VM goes down and you forgot to unregister it, it's almost impossible to re-register it. You got to go through this crazy process, and then they make you go back and forth on the forms. And people who buy legit licenses have the hardest time. If you see, it's the most archaic system that I've ever seen. But anyways, FlexRay basically pull all your drives. So if you had a 2 terabyte, like 6 total, you could basically pool them together. And it's not a protection RAID. FlexRay kind of allowed you to do that, but basically what it does is it just makes one location. What you have to understand that most people don't appreciate is that you need a pooled drive, because if you have your stuff going to drive C, D, and E, and one of your drives gets filled up, guess what? Nothing is going to move and all your stuff's going to get stuck. And most people don't realize that until they start running into that project. So Plex is pretty easy from the get-go, but after that, it starts becoming crazy when you start adding a bunch of hard drives. So HD Multi-Edition basically allows you to install a series of paths, and basically it does a write checks on you so you can't mess up, and it does a write test. So if you can't write to the location, it will warn you, and it will not work. The GCE feed beta, something that FlickerRate's been working hard on, and something I had to catch in the back end. But it works great because you can use your $300 worth of Google credits to basically build up your library really quick. And it's free. I still got to update the wiki on it. So once that's pretty much done, you'll be able to use it. Also, we came out with PG drives that you can use over a Plex drive. And basically, it allows the team drive and it does the Union FS. Long story short, it allows, basically it's faster. You don't have to wait for the caching process forever. You basically launch PG drives out of the box and it hooks up your stuff and you're pretty much good to go. So we're going to go to G drive. So ignore the first warning, something I need to kind of program in, but it's basically saying be careful when you switch, because when you do switch, it does shut down certain services. You don't want certain things on when you're running another edition. And like I said, you can go through the menu again and you're good to go. So right now we don't have anything running. So like, for example, I'll show you the HD Multi-Edition. So the menu will be missing a few things when you switch to certain ones. So you notice that this menu is a little bit smaller. You notice the PG drives is not here because all that's useless. You're running an HD Multi-Edition. You'll notice here that this is new for this menu, but not on the other menus. So you see how it says HD setup. Now I'm going to add more HD paths for you. Again, this was originally a test, and it's pretty much working now. So I'm probably going to go ahead and add about like 8 more for you. And so like if you were to have one hard drive, it's basically going to check your path. So basically you got to mount your drive, you know, do the whole F tab, and it's a complicated process. There's no way to automate this for you. But once you make the alternate drive location, so like let's say you named it mount 2, then it'll work. Now for demo purposes, I'm just going to go do TMP. You're never going to do this. This is a real path, but this is just something just to show you that it works. So like let's say I do TMPF. It's not real, right? See, it's going to ask you correct, and then it's tracking, and then you see right here it says the path does not exist, rerunning menu. So we tried to dummy proof this as much as we can for you, because literally entering in the file, it should work, but being a new user myself, I know that adding a slash or missing a slash, it's going to cause you problems. So we're going to do TMP this time. Let's forget the slash and let's put one forward. Now the example says that we need one in the back and we need one in the front. Oh, not one in the front. So you see I put one there. So basically my program's going to fix it for you. Look at that. It's like, bam. It needs you forgot to add the // right there. And then look, see? So basically it's taking it and it fixed it for you. See? So now that's the new path, which we originally wanted. So we added a lot of stuff in here for you. See how it's populating right now? And then once you're good to go, let's see, let's do one more test. And again, I know it's the intro video, but this is just to help you see a little bit. So let's do mount. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and switch back to Google Drive Edition. And switch. Okay. So pretty much this whole video is not going to show you everything, but it's just going to give you some quick info. So you can deploy different mount systems. We got a PG drive. Basically, this is your kind of like your old traditional one, but it deals directly with your Google Drive and uses our traditional move service. It uploads stuff at 8 to 9 megabits per second. Basically, you won't hit that 750 gig cap. And just to let you know, there is a 750 gig upload cap. So there's a reason why the speeds are capped for you to protect you. Some people who like to go past 750 gigs a day will end up using PG drive with Super Transfer 2 from FlickerRate. And basically here you're going to create a bunch of service accounts. It's a little bit of a complicated process, but we dummy proof as much as can for you. Long story short, each service account you create enables you to go past 750 gigs basically per user. So if you create 3, you take 3 times 750, and that's how much space, that's how much you'll be able to upload, including the one original account that you have. We have the traditional Plex drive with PG Move. So for most people who've been using PlexGuide, they're pretty much tracking this menu right here. So you're going to utilize this, and you're pretty much kind of set from there. You know, you just do Plex drive, your R clone, and then that's it. So we do have some Plex enhancement tools to assist you. So if you need to do scans or you need to fill up your Plex library, please feel free to utilize these tools. We have PG Server Security. No, it's not an antivirus, but basically this allows you to close your ports. And then the AppGuard protection, this is basically for services that do not have passwords. So for example, Heimdall. For those of me, I don't know why it's not built in, but when you access it, I think it's meant to be more of a home thing, but when you access it, there is no password protection for it, so you have to configure it yourself. So basically, if you turn the AppGuard on, you basically create your own username and password, you know, so test. And so in the future, when you decide to access some of these programs, you will have that password protection. And we can show you how one of those things work. Plex server information, here's some benchmarks. So basically, you can figure out your speeds, what you're doing. Like I said, the creator created this very early on, and he was really forward thinking. So if you need to do speed tests, you need to check out your containers, anything you need, you know, see how fast your processor specs, come here to this location. There's a disk space checker which helps you, and then there's also view services. I think this is updated, mostly, but it needs to. So because there's other services that we're running that you don't see there. Here's some troubleshooting actions. If you need to run the pre-installer for any reason, you think you're missing something, just run this and you'll be good to go. For some reason, if you're having problems with Docker, rare occurrence, but you just need to remove everything, you're okay here. Again, this will not delete your data. So if you install Plex and for some reason you just got to delete the Plex container, all your data is not lost. If you understood Docker a little bit, for those of you who already know, but for those of you who don't know, the data is exposed outside of the container. So meaning if you just relaunch Plex, it's going to pick off where it went. We did update the uninstall guide, and basically you can uninstall everything and keep your data, or you can choose to remove your data. So do you want to stop the uninstall? So I did a little bit of a trick question so you don't actually, you know, uninstall it. And there's your addition switch, and then hey, if you want to let the donation thing run, it basically helps us. So let's go ahead and launch a program here. So we're going to go to Program Suite, and let's do Heimdall, the one that I mentioned. So we're going to pick Supporting. Be aware that when you launch these containers, they can sometimes take 30 seconds to, sometimes in rare occasions like 4 minutes. Sometimes Omni tends to do that, but there's a lot loading up. And it also depends on the speed of your server. So we're going to go ahead and do Heimdall, and that is a UI organizer. So we're going to go ahead and pick this. And the reason it takes a little bit longer to load is because I basically sped it up for you so you don't have to wait. It's running, executing in the background. So before, if a container took forever to download, you would literally be stuck here. We set up an advanced cron job for you. So this only works if you have your G drive enabled. So basically, if you enable this, this will back up all your data to your Google Drive. I know, seamless, huh? Just backs up to your Google Drive and you're good to go from there. So if you don't care about it, you just go ahead and hit off. You notice that our server time is not correct here. So we do have the ability to change the server time easily. See, just do that. And then just go ahead and pick where you are. So if I just pick Eastern, and boom, there's your server time. This matters is because when you're picking when to back up your server, you want the time to be back correct. So you don't want to back up Plex while you're watching it during the day. So right now, this is how you can access it. So this domain is not real. It's just one we made up. All right, so pretty much this is going to wrap up the video. Other than that, we try to dummy proof as much of this as we can for you. See, look, like even with Plex, we have it set up where it's like, hey, go do this, go do that. You know, are you a remote server? In this case, we are a remote server. So you can see that we've done a lot here for you. You know, you type your Plex token in, and then basically it's going to launch Plex for you. See how there's that custom version of Plex I was talking about? So you can, you know, you can type the tags. So that information that just passed by tells you how to get there. So if you want to download the Plex beta, you just type the tag in, and everything just kind of kicks off from there. And then it's going to remind you to make sure that, remember, if you're doing a remote server, just make sure that you follow these instructions or you're never going to be able to claim it properly, or it'll say indirect and piss all your users off. So if you have anything else, you know, please feel free to drop by on our Discord and hit us up. All you have to do is go to the front page or the actual wiki itself, and you'll see the Discord right here. And then obviously we have our forums. If you have like some complicated situations, it does help that if you do utilize the forums because it helps document stuff for others. You don't want to come just to the Discord and just start blowing everything out of proportion. And we're pretty much a very friendly community. We don't go around hazing or harassing other members. This is just something that's a freelance project. So if you don't know anything, feel free to come by, ask questions, because we want to see you grow. And who knows, you may be able to help others. And then also you should see like some kind of like orange glow. It does matter a lot if you click subscribe. That basically does help build up our video base and the knowledge spread around YouTube. Like it and subscribe. But other than that, hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you.